Hello, welcome to your class on our baby cookies from TN Cookies. The first thing you're going to do is for all of your supplies, and your bags of icing might be different sizes than mine. I'm just using kind of what I have here, but they're all the same colors that you have. So for all of your icing, before you cut any of it open, is give it a really good massage. Royal icing doesn't go bad, but the syrups and sugars inside will kind of separate. So just give it a really good massage. And then you're gonna cut your bags open. The first thing we're going to be doing is outlining. So we're not going to cut them open very much. I'm gonna cut mine. Let me zoom in here and see if I can give you a good idea of how much I'm cutting it. So remember, you can always cut it bigger, but you can't make it smaller again. So I'm going to cut about that much off. Now that might look like a big opening. Here's the little piece I cut off. It's a very, very tiny amount though, okay? So let me back up. So that's about the size of a line you should get from your opening. If yours is a little bit bigger, don't worry about it. If it's a little smaller, I would use it how it is, and if it seems like it's too skinny and your lines are too thin, cut it a little bit bigger. Later when we're flooding, we can cut them all a little bigger so that we can flood faster. But while we're outlining, we're gonna keep our holes pretty small. Okay, so let me get rid of this for us. Okay, we need to have our scribe. If you don't have a scribe, you can use the toothpick, which I'll include with your kit. You should have sprinkles in your kit, and then you'll have your icings. You'll have white, gray, kind of a tan for skin, and gold. You'll also have a little bit of pink, a little bit of black, and a little smaller white. So those are the colors you'll have. We are going to outline our cookies first, and I'll give you good times to pause. I'll take a screenshot and try to insert that into the video too, of where I'm gonna show you how to outline 3 cookies, and then I'll give you a good time to pause so that you can outline your cookies too. Okay, so the first cookies that we are going to outline are our little swaddle baby. And you'll have 2 swaddle babies, so that you can do 1 boy and 1 girl if you want, or you can make them both the same. But I'm gonna just show you how to outline 1 swaddle baby right now, but you can swaddle, do both. Okay, so your swaddle baby, your bottle, and our baby carriage. So these are the first 3 things we're going to outline. So get those. You'll have 4 cookies since you'll have 2 swaddle babies. Okay, so the first thing we're going to use is our skin tone color, and I'm just using a medium color. If you asked for a lighter skin tone or a darker skin tone, then yours will be a little different looking than mine, but this is the one I'm using. And I was just giving my bag a massage. I already cut this one open, so I was just holding it closed while I gave it a little massage. Okay, and I apologize if you hear my animals in the background from time to time. So when you outline, it's important that you get close to the edge, but not so close that you can't pick up your cookie. You're going to need to pick up your cookie from time to time. So you can see I'm, you know, close-ish to the edge, but not so close that I can't, I can pick it up here without ruining my outline. You're gonna need to shake your cookie to get your icing to settle a little. You're gonna wanna move it off of your tray or onto a tray. So you do want to give yourself a little bit of pickup room on your cookie. Okay, so I outlined my baby's head, and you just cut straight across the top of the blanket area and do a straight line there and then just arch around. I'm gonna move over to my bottle, and we have kind of the little, this will be the plastic part of the bottle. So you're going to go around the nipple part of the bottle and just give it kind of a little base. And I'm just imagining where I think I want my line, since there's not a line on the cookie for me. So you just kind of have to do the top part and then just give yourself a little bit of a base there. Okay, and now I'm going to switch to my gray, and I'm going to outline the gray section. Okay, so for the gray, and if you have like icing on the edge coming out of your bag, just wipe it off on your finger or on, if you have a paper towel or your table, so that you have a clean bag tip. So I am going to do this little edge here of my plastic bottle, and I just went right beside the other icing that I did. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the body of my little carriage gray as well. So I'm just gonna cut straight across and straight down. All right, pretty easy so far. We're gonna jump over to our white now. And with my white, I'm gonna outline, try to not cover here, the baby, the Swaddle Baby's blanket area. So I'm just gonna go around that little area. The bottle is kind of a whimsically shaped bottle. So the edge comes out a little bit and out. There you go. And I apologize about the lighting there going through. Okay, now we're going to do the top of our carriage in little sections, kind of like it's fabric folding, fabric that can fold down if we wanted more sun for our baby. So we're gonna go up just a little bit and then bring our outline to this center point. Come up here, kind of a little arch back to the center. Up here, little arch, down. And we're gonna just ignore that piece of the cookie. All right, so that's our outlining for your first 3 cookies. So if you want to go ahead and pause your video and outline your cookies, you can. Okay, so the next 3 cookies that we're going to outline, we're gonna do all of our outlining so that it can dry and crust, and then we'll be able to flood. So we're gonna outline our next, excuse me, our next 3 cookies. So we have our onesie cookie. This is the word baby on this cookie. And then this is a bib. These are all going to get outlined in white. So, we got our white. And I'm gonna do my onesie first. So again, when you're outlining, you wanna be close to the edge, but not so close that you can't pick up your cookie. You're gonna go around your edges. I kind of go a little bit higher than the cookie up into the armpit area. So that's how, it's pretty easy. Just follow the shape of your cookie. For your bib, it has this little scalloped edge, but the tops are kind of straight. So I like to do my tops first so that you get that nice straight. Try to move it out of that sun flash, sorry about that. Okay, and then we will go around our scalloped edge. There we go. And for our word baby, we again are doing a white base and then we're gonna write baby over it. So this whole cookie is also just outlined in white. And even if it's hard for you to visualize where the word is gonna go right now, just follow the shape of the cookie. So anytime you see a little bump, just go right on around it. There you go. All right, I'm gonna, this is a good part to pause right here and outline these 3 cookies. Okay, your last 3 cookies that you're outlining now are your mobile, your star, and your rattle. So, our mobile or mobile, I don't know how you want to say it. You're going to outline in all white. This is another one that we're doing the base, a base of white, and then we're going to do the design on top of it. So we're just going to use our white again. And even though it's a little hard to visualize what this is going to eventually look like, just follow the shape of your cookie for the base and you will be just fine. There we go. Okay, our star is going to be gold. So this one is pretty easy and straightforward. So with your gold, you're just going to follow the shape of your cookie. Ta-da. All right. The rattle has a lot of different parts to it. So we're going to use a couple of different colors. Right now, the only colors that we will use is we're going to start with gray, and we're going to do a circle for the top of this rattle. So you can start at any point. I usually start either right here at the center of the bottom or the center of the top. I like the center of the bottom because if you do end up with kind of a big lump of icing where you stop and start, wow, that looks really crooked on camera. I'm gonna outline that again a little bit bigger. It will kind of meld into the stick if you end up with a weird shape here. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see. My first outline was a little bit too small and uneven, so I made a little bit bigger one, And when I flood, I'm gonna go all the way up to my second line when I flood. So this kind of first line, it won't really matter. Okay, so I made my circle. The next thing you're gonna do is we're gonna have a little stripe of stars across the middle of our rattle. So we're gonna make that outline for that stripe. And there's just a little bit of curve to the line, not a lot. Okay, I'm gonna switch to my white and I'm gonna outline the stick handle part of the rattle. So I'm gonna go not straight down the middle because I wanna kind of half the middle. So just a little bit left of center, do your starting line, circle it around, come back up. And this area is where the bow goes around the rattle. We're gonna not do that until we flood this a little bit later and let it dry for a second. And then we'll start with our bow. So these are your last 3 cookies to outline. Go ahead and pause and outline those and then we'll be right back. Okay, I am back to my first 3 cookies for if you're doing both of your babies right now. And we are going to flood. So flooding is where we fill the area with icing. So our outline is like our little dam and we let it dry. And now we're going to flood and our outline is going to catch it so it doesn't fall off the edge of the cookie. All right, so I'm going to start with whatever skin color you have in your kit. So we're going to flood. Now when you flood, I'm going to move my baby to the middle so you can see. You are going to squeeze a little harder than when you're outlining, and you're going to fill in the whole area. It doesn't really matter if you start in the middle or around the edges. You'll notice probably when I flood that I start somewhere different all of the time. It really doesn't matter, but you do need to squeeze a little harder because your icing will start to dry fairly quickly. And if you're flooding really slow and not squeezing very hard, it's gonna start to dry before you have the whole area full. And then it's not gonna wanna settle nice and smooth. Okay, so I've flooded and now I can grab my cookie because I didn't ice too close to the edge. And you're going to give it a little bit of a shake. Shake, shake, shake. Give it a couple taps. If you tap, just remember it is a cookie. It can break. They're pretty strong if you want to just give them a little tap, but don't tap too aggressively or you will break your cookie. And you can see it settled nice and smooth. If you have any bubbles, I don't on this one, but I'm sure I will at some point, use your toothpick or your scribe to pop those bubbles and then kind of smooth your icing back out. Okay, so I flooded my baby face. I'm not gonna flood this area yet because I want to keep this little outline between the face and the blanket. And if I flood right now and those 2 areas touch, they're gonna kind of meld together. So I'm gonna give that just a second and I'm gonna flood some other areas. This is why we work on multiple cookies at the same time, to kind of give those little spots a second to dry. So I'm gonna flood the top of my bottle. And I kind of use the top of my, the tip of my icing bag to help me kind of push the icing around. All right, that looks good. Again, I don't wanna do this area right next door to that yet. I wanna give the top a little time to dry. So I'm gonna flood the base of this next. So I've got my white. And so far, my I haven't needed to cut the tips of my bags any bigger. My outline and my flood openings have, my outline openings have been working for my flood. But if you find that you're like squeezing pretty hard and you feel like your icing's still not coming out very fast, then I would cut the hole in your bag a little bit bigger. Just a little bit at a time. Okay. I'm flooding this, giving it a little shake, and it looks pretty smooth and good. All right, I'm gonna move on to this. I don't wanna do all 3 of these areas because I wanna keep their little separate sections. So I'm gonna do the top one and the bottom one first. And try to zoom in here. Your toothpick or scribe is good for kind of tapping the icing into all those little tiny areas that it's hard to get the icing with your bag. So that's another good use for your toothpick or scribe, is to kind of tease the icing into little areas where it's hard to get it. Okay, that looks good. And I'm gonna jump back over to my baby. And the blanket is going to have gray polka dots on it. So make sure you have your gray here because we're gonna put our polka dots on while the icing is wet so that the polka dots kind of melt right into the icing, the white icing. So make sure you have your white and your gray ready. So I'm gonna flood this blanket area and I'm trying to hold it so you can see. I'm going right up against that line, but I'm trying not to go like too far over it and into what is still a fairly fresh flood on that baby head. Okay, so I got it into that area and I'm gonna flood the rest. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little shake. You do want to be careful now that you don't shake or tap this or tilt it too much because our baby's head is not all the way dry yet. And so if you start trying to shake your white icing too aggressively, you're gonna end up cracking your little baby's head. And you don't want to crack the baby's head. Okay, I'm gonna kind of tap my icing up into that corner. And that looks good. Okay, so now while it's wet, I'm gonna take my gray and I'm gonna put some polka dots on here. And I like my polka dots to be centered. You might not care. So I usually start with the center one so that I know that something will be in the middle. And then I kind of just spread them out after that. And you don't have to have your dots in the same places as mine. So I usually make like a little grid and then I put more dots in between. If you have room down here, you can do some down here. Okay, so you can see I kind of have like little chocolate chips. The tops of all those are kind of pointy. I'm gonna kind of tap and shake gently again my cookie. And you'll see that they're starting to kind of sink right in and meld in. I'm gonna take my toothpick and kind of tap down some of those points on my polka dots. And you don't really have to do much. Really, if you just kind of touch them, they'll kind of melt in. So, okay, looks good. There's our baby. Okay, we're going to fill in the gray on the lid of this bottle. So we're just flooding this. And again, when you, my dog is drinking super loudly, sorry about that. I'm not even gonna shake this one. I'm going to kind of tap this to get it smooth because I don't wanna crack this big area of white trying to get this little area of gray smooth. I'll just tap it smooth. Okay, and our little baby buggy. I'm gonna flood this. And I'm just, again, kind of squeezing a little bit harder, and I'm using the tip of my icing bag to kind of help me spread it around. I can tell my icing's a little thin right here on this edge, so I was adding a little more. Okay. And these are smaller areas of white, so I don't have to be quite so careful as I was with my bottle with that really big area of white. So I can kind of shake this one a little bit. And I have these two little sticky up areas. Tap them down a little. Okay, and fill this white. I'm gonna just go down to there and then tease it the rest of the way in because I don't want to ruin my little separate sections that I have going. Okay. All right, and we are going to jump over to some different cookies. So if you flooded along with me, you're ready to move on. If not, go ahead and pause right now and flood your cookies. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is flood these three cookies, your onesie, your baby word, and your bib. So I'm not gonna film doing it. I'm gonna just let you flood, and we'll come back really fast when they're done. Okay, I lied because I do want to show you, I was just flooding my bib, and you can see right here that I have a little bubble under the icing. So I did want to show you that if you just kind of tap, you'll usually get that bubble to break. And then you just kind of tease the icing around and it will fill back in. There's another one right here. I don't see that you can see it very well on the video, but I can see it. Okay. All right, those are looking good. Continue. Okay, I have flooded my 3 cookies, and we are going to do either polka dots or stripes on these with gray. It is up to you. I think just to show you both, I'm going to do polka dots on the onesie, and then I'll do stripes on the bib. So you're gonna do this right after you flood. Again, just so we want our polka dots to sink in. With our stripes, it's up to you. If you want them to be raised a little, then you can wait just a minute, not a long time, after you flood to do your stripes, and they'll be a little bit raised. If you want your stripes to sink in to your icing and be flat, do them right away as well. Sorry about my camera shaking, guys. Okay, I'm gonna tap some of those points down. And if none of your little polka dots have points, then your icing's probably a little smoother consistency. My icing's kind of cold right now, which is why I'm getting little peaks on everything. Okay, so there's my polka dot onesie. I'm gonna do stripes on my bib. So I, just to kind of, in an effort to make them straight, kind of look at where my line across the top of the bib is, and just try to kind of mirror it. And you can do really narrow stripes, bigger stripes. Okay. All right, I'm happy with those. And you can give it a little bit of a shake. Again, you don't want to shake these too hard because that white is starting to dry and you don't want to make it all cracky and weird. Okay, so you can do both dotted, both striped, one of each, up to you. All right. Okay, we have our last 3 cookies to flood now. So we have our mobile, our star, and our rattle. I'm gonna start with my rattle, and I'm gonna use white to do the little stripe in my rattle. And I'm going to put my star sprinkles in this while it's wet. So make sure you have your star sprinkles ready here. Okay, so I'm flooding the little handle base and my stripe. And give it a little shaky. Kind of make this come up even. All right. Now, I have 5 of my little stars. I'm going to start with one in the middle. And actually, I'm going to do 3 stars. I was going to do 5, but I don't think I want it that crowded. So if you want to do 5, you can. I think 3 is going to look good on mine. I'm using my toothpick to kind of spread them evenly and straighten them out. And you have a little time to work with them here before your icing will set. You can leave them kind of high on the icing, or you can tap them down a little bit into it. I'm gonna tap mine just a little bit. I don't want to bury them, but I do want them to get a good hold there. All right, I think that looks cute. So I'm gonna scoot that guy to the side and flood my others while that dries for a second. And these 2 are pretty straightforward. You have, this again is just going to be a completely white base. The star is going to get flooded with gold. My gold outline opening was pretty thin. You can see it's a lot thinner than this one. So I actually am going to cut my bag opening a little bit more so that it doesn't take forever to flood. But I'm just, I mean, just a little bit more. So I just cut it a tiny bit. All right, and I'm gonna flood. Again, you're just using your bag to kind of help you spread it around. You'll notice in videos, a lot of cookie makers, everyone has their own preferred consistencies. Some use 2 different consistencies, a much thicker for their outlining and then a really thin flood consistency, so they don't have to necessarily shake theirs a lot because they kind of just settle really thin and smooth. I don't like to do that because I use so many different colors, and to make 2 consistencies of everything would just take a very long time. And if you just are patient enough to let your outline dry, there's no need to do it. So I like to use the same consistency for everything. Okay, I just touched my rattle and made it wacky. That's okay. We're gonna just live with it. All right. Now on our star, we are going to do something extra with our star, and I have my star sprinkles here. And we're just gonna kind of cover 2 of the arms with sprinkles. So I have 2 different kind of star sprinkles here. So I'm just kind of scattering them along 2 of the arms. And then just kind of some little outliers here. Okay, I think I like that. It's going to be a little bit kind of scattery looking right now. I'm going to add one more there. But it will just kind of add a cute little element. I'm trying to add one more because I don't like how evenly those are spaced right there. I don't like my scattering to look symmetrical. It has to be very orderly or it has to be random. Okay, I'm just going to scoot him closer to the edge. Okay, so I'm happy with that now. And now we're just gonna flood our mobile. And it's just getting flooded with white. So this is an easy guy for right now. And I kind of tapped my outline and messed it up right here. I'm just going to pull that little edge off. And give them a little shake. I outlined kind of close to my edges down here at the bottom, so I was grabbing it at the top. So make sure you're grabbing it or you're not going to mess up your outline. Okay. Gonna go hit this with some gray. And I'm having to kind of go up over my outline. If you remember, I made a mistake when I outlined this side and got it a little bit too small. So I'm having to reach up over my line. And the bottom was okay, so. Alright, giving that a little shake, a little tap, and looks good. Okay, now my white is not all the way dry, but it is dry enough that I can outline my bow over it. Okay, this is a little tricky. I'm gonna move my other cookies out of the way. And if you need to pause to catch up right now with your flooding, go ahead and pause and then unpause when you're ready to do your bow. Okay, so the bow, these bottom parts are the little bottom parts of the ribbon, and then the top area and the middle part are the bow area. So you're gonna start right about in the middle, maybe a little bit higher than the middle. And with your outline, you're gonna go up around that top area and then also a little bit of the middle area. So on this side, you can see that doesn't have the outline yet. I'm gonna do this top part, and then I'm just gonna do a little swoop through this middle part. So I'm gonna do the top in the middle. So it's kind of like a little butterfly. Okay, and then if I outline right now along this same line to do the bottom ribbon, I'm not gonna have any separation in my icing between the bow part and the ribbon part. So I don't want to use that same line. I want to make a new line down into this area. So you can see I have the outline for the bow, and then I made a whole new line, and I'm trying to not let them touch. They're very close. So if they do touch, they're gonna run together. It's okay. If you really don't want them to run together so that they stay separate, wait, just outline the top and then give it 3 or 4 minutes and outline the bottom, and then they won't run together. Okay, so that's as far as we're gonna do right now because we're gonna let those dry. So that's your rattle bow outline. Okay, so we are back with these 3 cookies, and it's a little later in the day now, so I apologize for the change in lighting. So we are going to be using our little black and little white. And on these 2, you need to make sure that you cut the hole, the opening, as tiny as you can to start with, and then use it a little bit and see if it's too little and you have like 0 control, it just keeps spinning and spiraling. Cut it a little bit bigger. You do want it to be fine, a fine line that you can make. So we're gonna work on our little baby first, and there are a couple of ways you can do the eyes. So I'm gonna show you on a sticky note first of ways that we can do our eyes, and then we'll choose one for our baby. So you can do a sleeping baby. So if you want your baby to be sleeping, you'll do 2 little U's for your eyes, and that will be your sleeping baby. If you want it to be a girl, then you just add little lashes, and I just do 2 little lines for the babies. Okay, if you want it to be like a happy baby, then instead of doing U's for eyes, you do like little rainbows for eyes. And so it would look like that. If you're doing a girl and want lashes, still 2 lines on the side, but they go up instead of down this time. And if you want it to just be like an awake baby, then you'll do just 2 little circles, and with your little white, you'll just add a little white dot in them for shine marks. And again, if you want it to be a girl, you're just gonna add little lash lines on either side. Okay, so those are your 3 eye options. And so I like the sleeping baby with in this little particular cookie shape, the swaddle baby. So we are going to do on ours, sleeping eyes. And again, if you want, I'm gonna put this here so you can pause for a second. Other eyes, though, that's your guide. Okay, so sleeping baby. So we're gonna go right about in the middle, is about where we'll put the baby's nose. So we're gonna just jump over a little and do our 2 eyes. And I'm gonna do it as a boy first, and then I'm gonna add lashes and show you a change to make for a girl. So now I'm moving over to my little white, and I'm gonna outline a little binky, little pacifier. And so your pacifier, it's just like a jelly bean shape. So kind of a little swoop in the middle of the top and then just round out your edges. So I'm gonna let that dry for just a second. It's a really small area, so we don't have to let the outline dry for too long. While that dries, I'm going to add the lines onto our little blanket. So I'm gonna go across the neck. I'm gonna go around. And then about this far down, I'm gonna add a little side swoop. And then from the other corner, we're gonna go down until we hit that line. I'm gonna trace over that line again. It came out very tiny. There we go. So that's the little blanket. And I'm just gonna go ahead and still use my little white to fill this. If your hole is very small and this takes a long time, you can just grab your big white and fill it from there. Okay, so we're gonna let that little binky dry for a minute. You can leave your baby bald if you want to add hair. The only color you have that could really use for hair is you could use your black if you want it to have black hair, or you could use your gold if you want it to have blonde hair. A brown is not included in this kit's colors, so if you're ever making this set as a gift and you want it to have brown hair, that's a color you'll need to add when you make your colors. Okay, so we can add with our skin tone our little ears. Trying to get on this side so you can see. Okay, so there's our two little ears. And I'm gonna add my little nose right here, but I wanna wait and let that binky dry for a second before I do that. Now, if this were a boy, you could leave it like this. You could add on a little hat, and I'm gonna show you this line that we'll do first. So if you do a line about this thickness, okay? If you wanted to make this a little hat and have it be a boy or a girl with a hat, you would just add another outline that goes across, fill in the top, let it dry, fill in the bottom band. If you want it to be a girl, you can do it like this as a headband instead. So I'm gonna do that first, and then we'll cover it up. So this would be like a little headband. And then I'm just gonna kind of make a thick pile and pull it up to be like a little half of a tie. After that dries, I'm gonna put the other half of the tie on there, so it'll be kind of like a little bow. So like a knotted headband instead of like a big giant bow headband. Okay, so we're gonna pause our baby and let some of those stages dry for a second. While that dries, we're gonna jump over to our bottle. And again, hit pause anytime you need to for this video. Go at your own pace. Okay, so when you're ready to start your bottle, our bottle is really easy to finish off. We're going to add a straight line that has a line sideways on the top and bottom. Add another line that's the same length to the middle, and then in between you're gonna add a little shorter line. So there's our little measuring line on the bottle. If you want to add a little accent to the corner, something cute to add is with your gray. You can just add a little moon if you want, and I just did the moon shape. Excuse me, sorry about that. Okay, and then I'm also going to add, I think, 2 little stars on here. So I put 2 little dots of icing to hold them, and then I'm gonna drop my star on there. Use my little toothpick to tap it down. And that's the different kind of star. I told you there are 2 kinds of stars in this sprinkle mix. So I'm gonna choose that one so that there's 2 different colors on there. Kind of spread it out a little. And I don't know, I kind of feel like I need a 3rd star down here. Up to you. Okay, I like that. And then to finish our bottle, all we're going to do is make some stripes along the lid. Ta-da! Our first finished cookie. Hooray! So that's your bottle. And I'll let you pause and finish that. And I'm gonna move that cookie off to the side, get it out of the way. Okay, so we are on to our baby buggy. So I'm gonna jump back in with my white here. And do my little handle. And it's just a little stripe that goes right there. Then I'm gonna grab my gold and we're gonna make our wheels, and we're just gonna do simple round wheels. And I'm going over it a couple of times until I kind of like the depth of them. Over that part. I'm going to go across and then kind of a thin X, so it divides it up into 6. And I'm gonna put a little star in the middle of my wheels. And done. Easy little buggy. It's the very simple buggy design. Okay, let's come back over to our baby. So we're going to add the little handle onto the pacifier. And so you just kind of make a little line out. Let me zoom in on that. So just a little line, or in, not out, and then do a U, and then come out with another line on that side. And then we're gonna jump right here onto the top little U and give it a little cute nose. And then the top part of the knot, so I'm just gonna make another pile kind of on top here and pull this one out to the right. And then after that dries, I'll add another just little bump so it's like a knot there for this little tie. And since I made this one a girl, if you were making it a boy and you added a hat, you would be done. At this point, since I'm making it a girl, I'm gonna add her little eyelashes. And you could have done that earlier too. I just waited until now because I was showing you as a boy and as a girl. So our little baby's almost finished. We're just gonna add a little knot to that bow and then she'll be done. Okay, when you're finished with those, we're jumping back over to our onesie, bib, and word baby. So we're going to do the same little design that we did on the bottom of our bottle, on our onesie, and on our bib. And so if you didn't like your little design, you can choose something different. You can just do stars. You can do a bigger star, just a moon. Kind of play with things. Again, sticky notes are always good to play on, or just whatever surface you're working on. Make some little designs, play with it, see what you like. For the purpose of this tutorial though, we're going to do them all the same. So we are going to make our little moon, and you can make your moon gold or gray. It really does look cute either way, but I'm gonna make mine gray since that's how I did it on my bottle. So I'm just gonna make that little moon shape and then make the center a little wider. And that's all I'm going for, just doing a crescent. I'm gonna go ahead and do the one on my onesie now at the same time. And I'm holding my bag really weird, I just realized, because I'm trying to hold it out of the way so you can see. Ordinarily though, I should show you this. When your bag starts to run out of icing, your bag should be a lot fuller than mine. But when it does, kind of squeeze it all toward the bottom and give it a couple of twists, and then it's ready to hold correctly again. And I just hold it kind of in the pocket of your hand. But I am holding it a little strange just so that I'm holding my hand out of the way of the camera. So, okay, there's my 2 moons. And now I'm going to do my little stars. So I'm gonna do my 3 star dots of icing here. And drop these little guys on. And then tap them. And if you don't like the way it's turned, twist it until it's turned the way you want them. Okay, and with that, our bib is finished. Good job. All right, let's finish our onesie. So we're going to do our same little 3. Dots. Place my 3 stars. Kind of tap them into place. My moon kind of leveled out. I'm gonna try to pull it out into a little bit more of a point here. Okay, now I'm gonna take my little baby white again, and I'm gonna outline my onesie with a couple of differences. So go around your collar, your sleeve, but now right here, when you go up your sleeve, you're gonna kind of curve up to the beginning of the sleeve too, to make those marks like onesies have, those little seams. So again, you go around the sleeve, but then instead of stopping right here, you continue on and go up. Okay, on the bottom, we're gonna do 2 things. So first we're going to just outline the whole rest. And then I'm gonna come back over to this side and do a little leg opening. So I'm just outlining it again, but a little bit further from the edge. I'm gonna do the same thing right here. And then we're gonna make a little swoop right here and do our little buttons. So we're just doing 3 little dots of icing. And that's how we finish up our onesie. Ta-da! You are finished with so many of your cookies now. Okay, before I do the baby, I'm gonna go ahead and add that last little dot on my baby's headband, just so you can kind of see that it has this little knot. And then she's all finished. She's so sleepy. Okay. Now, this can be a challenging cookie. So just take a breath, emotionally prepare. We're going to do this in either gray or gold. But since it is difficult to see the word when you've never done this before, I'm gonna use my little white an outline at first so that you can see where it goes. And then we're gonna cover that line up with our main icing. Okay, you can do it. I believe in you. When we do it for real, we're gonna squeeze a little harder on this to get a big line. But since I'm just kind of showing you where the letters go right now, I'm doing them really skinny. So this is the line of the B. It's that whole first kind of chunk here. Then the bumps for your B. The top bump goes up into that swoop. The bottom bump doesn't really have a lot of shape given to you in the cookie, so you just have to kind of imagine. Okay, now is where it gets a little tricky. So our A and our B are only going to go about halfway down because we're gonna let the swoop from our Y kind of curl in this area. So it's like a little cursive lowercase a is gonna go right here in this area. So I'm going about halfway down through the white space, okay? All right, now I'm gonna curve up into this loop, and I'm not using this whole huge area. It's just, that's why we base coat it in white, so that it's all covered with icing. Okay. All right, you with me so far? Okay, now I'm gonna do my Y, and you can do it just a regular Y and kind of curve into here, but I like to fill up all this space. So here's what we're gonna do. Okay, ready? We're gonna go all the way down, reach up and curl in. And now keep going. And we're gonna curl down into this area. Okay? It's super cute. I believe in you. Pause. Write it. You'll be fine. Okay? All right. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. You can do this in gold or gray. I think I'm gonna do gold for mine. Okay, so I'm basically just going to trace what I've done. If you want it to look a little fancier, can you see up here? Yeah. Okay, so when you do a downstroke, if you squeeze a little harder than on your upstrokes, it will give you kind of that calligraphy feel. So every time you're going up, if you squeeze a little softer and a little harder on your downs, it will look a little fancier. So I'm gonna show you that. If you don't want to do that, just do a steady squeeze. It will still look really cute, okay? All right, so I'm gonna squeeze hard, come back up. I'm going up, so I'm squeezing soft. This is gonna be, I'm going down a little, so I'm gonna squeeze a little harder, softer, down, harder. Okay, so do you see how some parts are thick and some are thin? Okay. All right. So that's our little baby word. This part came out a little funky here. Let me work on it a little. Okay. And I'm gonna add, this is already wet, so I don't need to add a dot there, but I am gonna put some little stars on here. So I'm going to just in the corner add some little accent stars. And I'm just kind of teasing out some areas while it's still wet to kind of even it out. Got a little bump right here. Okay, and that's your baby cookie. Okay, so these are our 3 cookies that are left. The star, I was thinking maybe we would add a face on because the stars are really cute with faces, but I actually think it looks really cute just like this with the corner sprinkles. And so I think I'm gonna call my star done. And so you'll see in the finished picture kind of how the whole set goes together. All right, so we've got our mobile, and rattle. Okay, so first thing, let's flood the bow of this rattle. And you're doing that just like you've flooded everything else. And I'm just going to get it into those corners, pull it up into this area. Okay, and I'm gonna let that dry. And okay, we can do this, guys. So we are going to use our gray first. And with our gray, we're going to make the top cross that all the little cute things hang from. So one part of the cross goes from this top left corner and just keep going until you hit about here. And I'm gonna go beside that again so that it's a little bit thicker. Okay. This is where the second X goes. So I'm gonna start about level with that one, maybe a little bit higher, and go up into this side and thicken up my line a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to make our little top that holds it. Okay, so those are the lines that we're going to be dropping our little toys down from. Okay, the toys, or little pillowy puffs that hang down from our mobile. We have stars. So one star goes in this space, and you can see in the shape of the cookie, the left, and bottom right corners of the star are kind of guides for where to put it. So you don't have a top or a top right guide to go from, so you just have to kind of draw a star and then fill it in, and you can do that right away like you see, like you saw I did. So on the right here is our other star, and so you can see we have the top right, bottom left part as a guide in the shape of the cookie for us. So I'm gonna start right there and just draw my star. They do not need to be perfect stars. Okay, so we've got that little one. And then the other shapes you can do in like the guide that comes with the cookie cutter. They're all little clouds, but this shape does look like it would fit a moon fairly well if you wanted to do a moon. So I think I will do a little moon in this spot. So I'm gonna do a little crescent here. Take my toothpick and kind of pull my, since the opening in my gray is kind of big, I can't get a very fine point, so I'm gonna use my toothpick to kind of pull it out. Okay, and then I'm gonna use my little white, and I'm just gonna choose a spot. I vote right here, to do a little cloud. So I did a straight line, and then you're just gonna reach up and make a little puff and then kind of puff out to the side. And I'm gonna do one more up over here. And fill those little guys in. And you noticed I didn't, since these are small areas, you don't really need to shake these to smooth them out. If you just give them a little second or even tap them with your toothpick, they'll flatten out. My clouds are a little puffy, but I kind of like them that way, so I think I'll leave them. And then you can use whatever color you want as the little strings. Since our white is nice and fine, the opening's small, I'm gonna use that. So let's see, I'm gonna imagine my moon is hanging from this back one. So I'm gonna make a line that goes behind it like that. I'm gonna hook my star. I think I'll hook my star from the top here and just pull it right over the moon and hang it there. Hang this cloud from the middle. We need this star to hang from this one because it's too far away from this. So I'm gonna go like there. Ah, my white curled a little on me. Okay, like that. And then we'll hang our cloud from this guy. So there you go. This one is now finished. And that means we just have to finish our ribbon on here. And all we're going to do to finish it off is we're going to trace a little loop on the top. So I'm tracing my outline and then coming down just a little bit to give it that kind of loopy shape. And then we're just gonna do a nice big blob in the middle. And you are finished. Great job. I'm sure yours look amazing, and I'll include a picture of the finished set here. And so good luck. I hope you had fun doing your cookies. And this was my first YouTube tutorial. I know it's not great. I hope you found it helpful and were able to kind of go at your own pace. All right, thanks, bye.